Batman the Caped Crusader is a new animated series based off the comic book character Batman. Now, most people and just about everyone should be familiar with Batman. If you watch TV, movies, any kind of entertainment, you have to be familiar with the character. He's one of the most popular comic book characters around the world. This isn't his first animated series. He's had several movies in the past, several video games. He's well renowned. He's top three superheroes, which is probably Spider-Man, Batman, and then Superman. Well-known superhero characters known around the world. So, this show is a spiritual successor to the 90s Batman animated series called Batman the Animated Series, which is universally loved. I know when I was younger I used to watch it and I loved that show. It's fantastic. And a lot of the stuff that show did still resonates throughout the Batman lore and mythos, because it was a very important show that really redefined a lot of characters and added a lot to the character's universe and world. So as I said, this show is a spiritual successor. It's produced by Bruce Timm, who also was one of the producers or creators of Batman the Animated Series. So of course it has a lot of its DNA woven within the show. It also has Matt Reeves, who directed the last Batman movie, which I absolutely enjoyed, as one of the producers, and J.J. Abrams, who has done a lot of things. He's a very famous, well-known director. So there's a lot of talented people in the making of this show. And I have to say, it's fantastic. It freaking shot it out of the park. I had high expectations for this show. Like I said, it already looked like a spiritual successor to Batman the Animated Series, but when I found out who was working on it, I was like, it has to be good. If this show isn't good, then someone had to come in and just interfere with the creators. And thankfully, it turned out fantastic. I absolutely loved it. It's one of my favorite Batman animated shows, and probably one of my favorite superhero shows out right now, which kind of says a lot, because we have a lot of great animated superhero shows right now, like Invincible, My Adventures with Superman, just all kinds of great things right now. So, it's a 10-episode series. It's kind of short, I guess you can say, but that's most animated shows and most shows now on streaming. They just give it a quick, short animated episode order. In the past, we would have longer seasons, because of syndication and everything on TV. So that's to be expected. And to me, it doesn't necessarily work against it, but I like the show so much, I did wish it had more episodes. So it's a little bit of a negative to me, because I'm like, oh man, and I wish I had more time with these characters and everything. So like I said, this is a spiritual successor to Batman the Anime Series. It does a lot of things fantastic, similar to that show. It's very episodic, where in the beginning we get introduced to a lot of Batman's rogue villains, and I'm gonna try not to speak spoilers until later in the video. So we're introduced to a lot of well-known Batman villains: Clayface, Harley Quinn, Two-Face. There's a good balance between well-known ones, like I said, those ones that I named, and then we have Gentleman Ghost, which some people might be familiar with. He's a lesser-known character, but he has appeared in Justice League Unlimited, I want to say, and maybe a few other things. Onomatopoeia, which is a newer character. I believe he appeared in a live-action show not too long ago. I can't remember which one it was. There's some other characters that I really didn't know, like one called Natalia Knights, I believe her last name was, who's kind of like this psionic vampire character, and I really loved her episode. She was an interesting character, and just had a great storyline, in my opinion. So, the show has a lot to offer. Beautiful animation. It takes place in the 40s or 50s or 60s, on better time periods, but it's very reserved. Batman doesn't have too many crazy super gadgets. He has his gun to get around, and his car. That's essentially it. He uses his wits, and he's a smart detective, which I really like, because it really captures this noir feel of Batman just kind of trying to solve mysteries and find out what these villains are doing, which I absolutely enjoy. We also get a good few overarching storylines. While I said it's mostly episodic, there are more or less three storylines that I would say they kind of carry over a little bit. One is involving Batman. This version of Batman, like many others, is kind of really obsessed with being Batman. His true personality is Batman, and Bruce Wayne, that's his, his mask, his other identity. He is Batman. He is obsessed with justice. Like all other Batman orientations or origins, his parents were killed in front of him and he vowed to get justice. But he's very obsessed that he does some things that hurt the people around him, and he's very kind of cold and detached. Like we've seen other versions where, he's kind of distanced and everything, but there's still people around him that he cares about. The people around him, even though he has friends and people who do care about him, you can tell that he's not really that close to them, and he's willing to use them in a manner to try to solve a crime or get justice, even though it might hurt them. One example of this is Alfred, his beloved butler, who's like a father figure to him in a lot of movies and shows. Well, in this show, he calls him Pennyworth because he's just so detached that he's not close to Alfred, even though Alfred raised him. So his storyline is kind of learning to open up and accept people within his life, and they do a decent job of exploring that through various episodes and things that happen throughout the series, which I really enjoyed. The other two storylines, like I said, I'll talk more about spoilers because I think it'd be giving away too much. But overall, it's a fantastic show. Well written, well directed. I think the voice acting is really good. The music is also really fantastic. There's not a lot to say. To me, it's a 9 out of 10. There's a few things I wish kind of happened that kind of hold it back from a perfect 10, but they're more nitpicks than anything. This is probably a 10 out of 10 for most people, and I wouldn't disagree whatsoever, but I'm giving it a 9 because, like I said, I really enjoy it, but there's just a few things that I wish kind of happened in the show. So if you haven't watched it, go check it out. It's a great freaking series. If you love Batman, you're going to love this. If you love Batman the animated series, you're going to love this. If you like comic book characters and stories, you're definitely going to love this. And overall, it's just a good animated series. So if you love animation, you're going to love it. It's beautiful. There's a lot of cool stuff that happens. And just a fantastic show. 9 out of 10. So I'm going to talk spoilers now. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get out of here. I'm talking spoilers. So it's a 10 episode series. Like I said in the beginning, a lot of them are just kind of episodic things. We do have some through lines. The main one is Two-Face, which the last 2 episodes highly focus on Two-Face. We see him as Harvey Dent, the DA who is running for mayor in the first episode, and we see him several times throughout the show running for mayor, and then slowly he's approached by Rupert Thorne, this crime boss who weasels his way into his campaign to give him money because he wants to bet on 2 horses, essentially. He has the mayor in his pocket, but he's like, just in case, you win, I want to control you. He says that to Harvey Dent, so he starts giving him money to try to, get control of him. Like I said, we slowly see that happen. He's not a good person in the beginning of the show. I felt like he was kind of a jerk, but he's not also this like horrible person. Even though he does, is a little bit corrupted and everything like that, there's a part of him that is good and believes in justice. And we kind of see that towards the end. I kind of wish that was a little bit more in the front, that we saw that he was a decent guy. I think it would have made his transformation into Two-Face a little bit more tragic, but they don't really do that. So I think it's the third to the last episode, which is one of my favorite episodes, from Natalia, this girl who's like a psionic vampire, like a vampire who steals souls or energy from people instead of blood to become strong and everything like that. Really fantastic episode. Like, I think it's my favorite one. But towards the end of it, Rupert Thorne gives Harvey more money, and he's like, but you gotta play ball with me. I have this guy who's on trial that you're going against. You need to drop the charges on him. And at first Harvey's reluctant, but he agrees. But then during the case, he just says, no, I'm gonna go forward with it. So it causes this commotion, and then he goes to the bathroom where one of the Rupert Thorne's goons throws acid on his face and just destroys it. And that's like the end of the third episode, which sets up the finale, where the next one is him as Two-Face going around trying to find Thorne to get revenge. And I really like this. This is also one of my favorite episodes. Um, there's a moment where like the police keep asking him who did it. You know, do you remember anything? He's just lying because he, of course, if he talks, he's going to be killed. So he just tells them he doesn't remember anything. So Batman, as Bruce Wayne, because they're friends, you know, or friends. Harvey Dent is a friend of him, but Bruce Wayne, of course, is just pretending to be friends. So he goes to talk to him, and he convinces him to go out in the town and everything. And the purpose is that he wants to kind of manipulate him to try to get information out of him to find out who did that to him, so Batman can capture him and put him in jail or whatever he wants to do. But this really hurts Harvey because he's having a really hard time and having a mental breakdown. And this event helps him spiral to really become Two-Face. He's Harvey until like this moment. And again, this is why I like Batman. He's so dedicated to justice that he doesn't care that he's hurting Harvey right here. It's just like, dude, you're costing this guy his sanity. You're supposed to be his friend, but you're pulling him out here just to get information. And again, that's what I like about this Batman. He's just so into justice that it's kind of absurd. But you know, he goes around getting revenge, killing a bunch of goons and everything. Eventually, he's stopped and put in jail, and then that's where we get to the finale. And in the finale, um, they want to use or Barbara Gordon, who is a lawyer in this version, which I probably should have mentioned a lot of the changes it did to the show, but I'm just so engrossed on how much I liked it, and I liked a lot of the changes. They were good. But she's a lawyer, and she's going to use Harvey Dent to squeal, essentially. Every dirty thing he's done, everything he knows, he's just going to tell the truth to hopefully turn the city around, because this version of Gotham is very, very corrupt. We see a lot of corruption in the police department. The mayor's corrupt. Everything's just dirty. Like, we follow Bullock and Flash, these two detectives who are really corrupt, and they do a lot of corrupt things throughout the show. They even murder a freaking villain that they let loose to try to capture Batman, just so they can cover up their crimes. They're not afraid to murder people, so they're not implicated in crimes or anything, and they can get away with all the dirty shit they're doing. So, like I said, very corrupt. So they're trying to use Harvey to get rid of the corruption, but they got to get him to the court. But of course, they're being hunted at the same time. So they end up in the docks and everything. And Harvey's been having this conflict of, is he good, is he bad? You know, he deserves all the bad things that are happening to him because he was a bad person. But the episode ends with Harvey sacrificing himself to save Barbara, and they're not able to use him to take out a lot of the corruption. But the show kind of ends with this thing where it's like Commissioner Gordon, Barbara Gordon, Batman, and who else am I thinking of? There's a fourth one. Shoot. I can't remember who the fourth person was. No, maybe it was Harvey Dent, but Harvey Dent ends up dying, so he's kind of out. So it ends up being these last three. Essentially, they're like the last virtues of good people within the city that hopefully can turn the tides and turn it to a better place. But it ends kind of like in a sour note where it's just like it's going to be a hard fought battle, and who knows if it's going to be possible. Like I said, I really like that storyline, and it's one of the overarching ones. And of course, Batman's character development, being from solely just focused on justice to becoming a person who opens up. Like at the end of the series, he starts calling Alfred instead of Pennyworth, which is development. Because like I said in the beginning, he just did not care about this person. So very fantastic. Those are the two kind of lines going through the show. Another one is Harley Quinn. It's a little shorter. I think she shows up in the third episode with Catwoman, and then by the fifth episode we find out she's already Harley Quinn. And I really like how they kind of change her storyline, because obviously she's very connected to the Joker in the original show where she was created, and in the comics, and even in the movies. And they're trying to move her away from that character, because obviously the Joker is psychotic, and they're trying to turn her into an anti-hero. And so I like how they kind of rechanged her origin. She sees all these people being corrupt coming into her office and talking and never really changing. So it kind of twists her mind where she gets obsessed to pretty much torturing them into doing good things, like giving up their money. But then they end up dying. So it's a very interesting story. But I just kind of wish it was... And this is one of my gripes. I kind of wish it was a little bit, throughout the series. I think it should have started in the first episode and then kind of been like the mid finale kind of thing because it needed a little bit more room to breathe. Oh, Renee Montoya is the fourth person I was thinking of. She's a big character. She's also like one of the only good cops. So yeah, can't believe I forgot her. She's very important. She's Harley Quinn's love interest, and she's a detective through the entire show. And she's another character that was created originally in Batman the Animated Series. But anyway, yeah, the Harley Quinn story. I wish we had a little bit more time and room with. I really liked it. I really liked the sadness of it. She's this person obsessed, which makes with some of the best Batman characters. They're just obsessed with things. They're just kind of obsessed with these horrible people and trying to rehabilitate them, but just in her really twisted way because she knows they're never going to be good people unless they're forced to be good people. But anyway, yeah, I could go on and on. There's a lot of cool changes. It's a very dark show, which I really like, a lot more mature. Like in the first episode, the Penguin kills one of her sons, and she's just so cold about it and callous that I absolutely loved it because I was like, the Penguin's kind of like a whatever character to me, but I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm paying attention, and I know I'm afraid of the Penguin. If she's willing to kill one of her sons like nothing, then yeah, definitely you need to watch out for her. And it wasn't just like a mercy killing. She like puts a sack on him, puts him in a box and throws him into the river and just lets him drown, which is just vicious. So a lot of dark moments in this show. Like I said, one of my favorite episodes with Natalia, the vampire girl. She almost kills a lot of little kids, which is something you probably wouldn't have seen in the Batman the Animated Series. But like I said, the show's a little bit more mature and really willing to go into these darker areas and show some darker areas. Like I said, Bullet kills one of these costume heroes, Firebug, or villains, Firebug, that he let loose into the town, but they kill him to cover up, and it's pretty bad. Like, he shoots him out a window and he falls into a car, and everyone sees it, but he's made into this hero because, again, the system's just kind of corrupt, and they're like, well, he killed a bad guy, he was burning down a building, even though, again, he let the villain go, and that information is out there. But fantastic show. Like I said, I can go on talking about it forever, but definitely go check it out. And just kind of skimmed over a lot of the storylines. They're all really fantastic, really enjoyable. I think I really enjoy them. Like I said, it's a 9 out of 10 show for me. Really fantastic. Just a couple of gripes. But overall, loved it. Just absolutely loved it. So if you watched it, what do you think? You know, is it your new favorite Batman animated series? What do you rank them? You know, Batman Beyond, Batman the Animated Series, Batman the Brave and the Bold. You know, you name it. There's a few more. Which one's your favorite? Let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you for watching, like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace out.